have a challenge for you. I have a series of challenges for you actually. But before I tell you what the challenge is, let me explain to you the problem that it addresses. You've probably had the experience of learning a piece of music and knowing it pretty well and being able to play it for yourself, very fluently, very easily, and then you go to play it for somebody else and it absolutely falls apart and it's as if, you've never played it before in your life. And you've probably also come across the idea that, once you've played a piece of music, 10, 20 times, you should know it by then and, you should be able to perform it. So when you put those two experiences together, you're probably not feeling too good about yourself and your ability to play the piano, but actually this is very much a false perception. And to illustrate how false this is, I want to tell you about an exchange I came across in a Facebook group. And the question had been asked, basically, how is it that I thought I knew this piece of music, but when I go to play it for somebody else, it falls apart? And how long does it take to actually learn a piece of music to the point where I can actually play it in public? And among the answers and the advice given was a post by somebody who had actually in their day been a professional pianist and had done some concertizing and really knew what they were talking about. And she laid out her process for learning a piece of music. And basically she said that once she had fully memorized the music, spent a long time learning it and understanding it and then memorizing it, she would then put a piece of paper on her wall, and at the top of that piece of paper she would write the number 1000 and she'd go backwards from there. And there was absolutely no way that she was going to play that piece of music in public before she had played it for herself 1,000 times. And that's after the process of actually learning it. So among the responses to that post, a lot of people were saying things like, I had no idea that it took that long. I thought if somebody was a professional musician that they would just need to go over the piece of music a few times and they just magically know it. So she was really illustrating that it is very, very hard work. There is a lot of work involved in learning a piece of music to the standard of security of being able to play it in public without it going wrong. And so for many of us amateurs, that's quite a shock. And if you look back at the music that you've tried to play in public before and think about, well, how often did I actually play that piece? You might find that you really didn't play it very much at all. You just expected that you should be able to play it publicly or fluently and really securely after learning it for, a number of weeks maybe or a month or two. And I've also been telling the story recently of how I also play a bit of guitar, not very well. But one of the pieces I've always wanted to be able to play is the finger-picking pattern to Bob Dylan's song Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, which is quite a complicated pattern, but sounds really, really wonderful. So I wanted to be able to play this, and a friend of mine knows how to play it, and he was very kind one day and went through it with me, how to do it. But he finished up his lesson by saying, now you just go and practice that a couple of thousand times, and you'll be able to play it, no problem. And we both laughed, but we knew that he wasn't actually joking. This is the actual truth of the matter, is to be able to play something without worrying about the next note and the rhythms and everything that goes with that. We need to actually have completely internalized the piece of music. It needs to be automatic, so then we can turn our attention to expression and making a connection with our listeners. And I told that story to a student of mine and she laughed and she said, well, you know what, that's what's missing at the end of a lot of piano tutorials that I've watched. They leave that bit out. They don't say, well, just go and play that a few thousand times and you'll be fine. So I'm telling you now that that's probably what you need to do. If you're learning something that's quite complex, it's challenging to whatever level you're at, you probably need to play it much more often than you have been doing in order to get it to a level where you're secure enough in it to be able to play it for other people and to get over those nerves. So this is where our challenge comes in. I have a Facebook group that is renewed every month actually. Each month has its own Facebook group and it's called the 100x Challenge. So I'm not talking about playing something thousands of times, but in the challenge I ask people to take a piece of music that they already know how to play. So it's something that you've already been working on. You're able to play through it. And your commitment in whatever month we're working in, so for example, we've got an April 100x challenge going on at the moment. Your commitment is to play it 100 times during the course of the month and record yourself, if possible, at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. So pre 100 times and after you've played it 100 times. And just notice the difference and play it mindfully each time and really think about what you want to improve in it. At the moment, we're quite a small group. We generally have somewhere around 25, 30 members. And interestingly, they all come back every month to start a new piece. And the feedback has been really wonderful. It's a really lovely group. It's a lovely atmosphere. We're all very encouraging of each other and we've all noticed huge improvements in the pieces that we've taken on each month. So basically it's an opportunity to build your repertoire and to normalise the idea that something as complex as a piece of piano music isn't learned in a couple of weeks or after a few dozen plays. It takes much longer than that, and quite often we find that at the end of 100 plays, depending on the piece of music, we might realise actually that's just a starting point. this isn't fully mine yet. I probably need to do another 100 times. But I really think a lot more people could benefit from taking on this challenge, and doing it as a group and in the company of other piano players is a really wonderful way to stay encouraged, to stay motivated, and to build connections that as piano players we often don't have. It's quite a lonely instrument. We're not involved in orchestras generally. So I'd like to invite you to join us on the next 100x challenge. And in the description below this video, you're going to find a link that'll take you to more information about it and a link to join the actual Facebook group. And while you're in the description looking for that link, you'll probably also notice a link to a practice workbook that you can download for free. So if you haven't already benefited from that, I would highly encourage you to download that. It's got some great practice techniques in it that are going to help you perfect your music. And I'll also be able to send you emails now and again with blog posts and other useful resources for your piano journey. You'll also see a link in the description that takes you to a video tour of my membership. So if you're interested in getting access to one of the best memberships on the web at the moment, and that's not me talking, that's what some of my members say, you can take a video tour of the membership and see what it's all about. So getting back to today's video, what I'm talking about then is the 100x challenge. We have a new one every month. It's completely free and entirely dedicated to this one purpose, just taking a piece of music and playing it 100 times during each month. And I suggest that you record yourself at the beginning of the month and at the end of each month so that you can hear the difference. And I strongly encourage people to upload those before and after videos as you go along. So one at the beginning of the month and one at the end of the month. We learn so much from each other and there's great encouragement in the group. So go ahead and click the link in the description, read a little bit more about it, and send me a request to join whichever month we happen to be in at the moment. If you're joining halfway through a month, feel free to just watch the proceedings for the first couple of weeks, and then at the end of every month I post a link to the new Facebook group and you can join and hit the ground running at that point. So I really hope to see you there. Do take a chance on it. It really is worthwhile. As you can see from the comments here that other participants have left. So I hope to see you there. I'll talk to you again soon, and in the meantime, happy practicing.